Alright, hello and welcome to this video. In this video I'll show you how to become a better Warface player and a better player in general. The 5 tips I'll give you in this video are: first, about the PC setup; second, about how you should interact with your teammates and opponents; third, the way you should adjust your own mindset and go about training and learning; fourth, about training your aim and skill in general; and the 5th tip is about improving your skills even further. Well, and it's also important to mention that this video will not magically help you with anything, but you'll have to work yourself and put the knowledge that I give you to work. So let's start with the first tip. The first tip is about your PC setup, and on a side note, about pay to win in Warface. You can of course buy weapons with real money and get an advantage over others who haven't got these powerful weapons yet, but you can also just unlock them by playing a lot of Warface. Of course, it'll take more time without money, but eventually you'll get about the same results. You can, for example, buy crates on market.my.games/shop/34 using my code YTExcuse, just like in the video that you can see in the back. By using my code to open these crates, you'll help me and my channel, so I can provide you with more content like that. And if you're curious about what weapons are the best weapons in Warface, well, unluckily I haven't got a very recent video about that. My last video about the top 5 weapons in Warface is 5 months old, but I'll probably do an updated video in the near future. And well, about the PC setup, that's a pretty obvious tip, and I think everyone should be able to understand that. If you got a good computer with, let's say, 100 FPS and are playing versus a player who has got 30 FPS and a bad computer with a lot of lags and freezes, I mean, you'll always see freezes and lags in games, especially in Warface sometimes, but with a good computer you'll definitely have less of those lags, and that just gives you an advantage. And I also think a good computer is far better than if you spend, like, say, 500 euros on Warface for overpowered weapons and still have got a, let's say, trashy laptop. So if you want to invest money in something, I recommend to first go for a very good setup, and then, if you really want to go for in-game currency or those overpowered credit box weapons or online shop crate weapons, then you can go for it, but that's all your choice. If you want to find some great and cheap PC setups, I recommend to just look around on YouTube, because there are lots of YouTubers who specialize on recommending computers for others, and they've usually got some really good recommendations. Alright, and now we come to the second tip, and that's how you interact with your teammates and opponents. Well, and now you might ask me, why is the way I interact with my teammates and opponents important? Well, it's important because it'll take stress out of the game, and it'll probably also add more fun when you're being nice to your teammates and opponents, when you're writing GG at the end of a match and not raging around, insulting your enemies, getting chat banned. Well, actually, you can also get chat banned for writing some not really insulting things, but that's not the topic of this video. But the way you interact with your teammates and opponents really resembles the way you go about the game. And if you are angry at your teammates, mad at your teammates, always blaming your teammates, then that just won't work. You'll make your teammates mad at you because you're mad at them, and once they got mad at you, you'll get more mad at them, so you're getting this kind of reciprocal behavior that nobody actually really wants, but it'll most likely have bad consequences on the game, and you'll probably also play worse when you're enraged about every single thing. So what I really recommend is try to be as friendly as possible, even if your teammates are really mad at you. Just, well, if they are just insulting you all the time, then just ignore them. After all, that's probably the best thing you can do. So to sum it all up, you should really just try to have some kind of positive connection to your teammates, especially if they are your friends or clan mates, and especially if you know that they are better players and that you can learn from them, because when you can learn from them, you can ask them for tips, and, well, you should probably listen to them when they've got some tips or are telling you about some experiences that they gain from playing the game for a very long time. I'm sure this will help some of you. By the way, the reason why I'm including points like that is that I've already done 2 videos on how to get better in Warface, and I never actually brought up this point that you should interact with your teammates in the friendliest way possible. And now we are coming coming to point 3, and that's change your own mindset on how you go about training and learning. This point is kind of closely related to point 2, since it also talks about your behavior, or what you should do with your mind when playing a game and when going about learning. So first of all, you should set a goal and then work on that goal of getting better. I think all of you have got this goal in common, that you want to get better, so just work on that goal and don't get disappointed and learn from your mistakes. And if there's ever a situation where you're not sure what you've done wrong or what a teammate has done wrong, just ask yourself about this situation. For example, in Plant the Bomb, if you just died because of something, because of a mistake that a teammate did, ask yourself how the situation could have played out better, what you could have done to maybe even avoid dying because of your teammates' mistakes. Because everyone is gonna do these mistakes. You also need to expect that your teammates will do mistakes, but you should also ask yourself what they could have done better, what you could have done better, and especially what you could have done better. By the way, I'll talk in more detail about what your teammates could have done better in point 5, or the way you should train with your teammates and play with your teammates and interact with them. Then it's also important to focus, and really focus on the game and get rid of distractions. Like, if you are currently training, let's say in free-for-all, then just switch off the music in the background, switch off the, I don't know, Netflix series you're watching on your second screen, and keep focusing on that game. And also don't get mad and lose focus. Generally speaking, try to never lose focus if you're really going about it and really going to try to improve. And now we're coming to point 4 already. Train your aim, skill, learn about the maps and movements. So first of all, I just want to recommend to you all that learning about the maps is always important, but you'll just learn about the maps more and more once you play more and more on those maps. And, well, maybe try to find some good spots on that map, and maybe watch some Warface videos and look where other players stand, or where the pro players stand in competitive matches, what spots they use. That can be helpful. And also use game mechanics and movement. Like, use flashbangs, use grenades, use the smoke grenades in order to confuse your enemies or hide the spot where you're planting the bomb at. Slide around, jump around. Sliding and jumping is gonna be really helpful, by the way, when I'm gonna talk about this next little point. It's aim placement, because you will need to expect that the enemies are using aim placement. That means if you're running around a corner and wondering why you're getting immediately headshotted, well, that's probably because your enemy was placing his aim at where he expected your head to pop up first. And, well, if he expected that you would just run around the corner, then he'll place his aim right there for your head, where at the height where the head of every character is. But in Warface, it's important to know that you can also jump and slide. That means an enemy can also come jumping or sliding around a corner. So sometimes it can be wiser to aim closer to the ground in order to predict where his head will actually be, but you'll never be able to predict it 100%, of course, since it'll always be a little bit different. And in order to confuse your enemies, you should, of course, slide around corners too, and jump around corners too, and then peek them like that. And then get used to your mouse sensitivity, and don't change it all the time. Your mouse is basically the gate to the virtual gaming world. When you move your mouse in real life, you're also gonna move the character in-game, and you don't want to change it up all the time. If you want to know how to find the perfect mouse sensitivity, there are lots and lots and lots of videos on YouTube that are great in explaining this. And you should also train your muscle memory by, for example, playing free-for-all or using an external software like Aim Labs, which is for free. And there are also tons of videos on YouTube that will explain you how to use Aim Labs most efficiently. And in order to really get good in Warface, just go ahead and play free-for-all. If you're bad at the beginning, that's fine. You're gonna get better. Like, after a week of playing and training in free-for-all, you'll definitely see the progress you made. And now we are coming to the 5th point, and in my opinion, that's probably the most important point. And it's kind of connected with all the other points I've mentioned so far, except for point 1, because point 1 was the PC setup. But it's all about improving your skill, making friends, training with them, taking part in competitive matches, ask for advice from better players, and really get going. Well, it's always a good idea to search for players with the same goals and associate with players better than you, or who will help you develop skill because they've got the same goal of getting better. And then taking part at cups with them is also gonna be a fun way of just trying to go into the competitive field. And even if your team is the first team to lose, or the team that's like the team that's losing 0-11, doesn't matter. You'll gain experience, and that's what it's all about. That's what this entire learning process is all about. You'll gain experience, you'll make mistakes, and you will grow, and you'll learn, and you'll get better. Well, and you can also place on Face It, where there are more competitive matches with certain rules, and in those matches you'll really have to interact with your teammates, because voice chat, for example, is mandatory, which is not the case in Ranked, for example. But Ranked is also a good way to train and to find friends and find clans and all that stuff. Then, once you've got friends, you should try to think highly of your friends and, well, don't get mad at them and use the rules and all the other tips that I gave you. And you just want to really get this positive reciprocal behavior and not a negative one. And if you meet someone really good in Face It, you can also just ask him, hey dear Brando, how can I get better? And maybe they'll answer you. But even if they don't get discouraged. Just ask someone else that plays better than you how you can improve further and further, and try to learn from them. Or watch videos from other YouTubers and look how they play. Like, for example, there are lots of other very good Warface players uploading videos all the time. I mean, they are not necessarily uploading videos where they are just playing gameplays, but often some frag movies and that kind of stuff. But you can also learn from that, and you can also learn from watching streams and then asking a YouTuber in that stream. I can promise you Warface streams won't have that many views, so the chat will also not be that active. And there's a good chance that you can ask the streamer for tips on how to get better. So just get going, do what you can, and get better in Warface. And that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like to show me whether this video was good or not. And if you want more content like that and want to stay updated, then just smash that subscribe button. And that's it. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.